In short, the no budget budget is a hands off approach to finance management. The no budget budget calls for little monitoring of accounts, as well as not requiring or calling for a full thought out or deliberate plan towards wealth building. So essentially, the no budget budget is just that. There is no actual budget. There are no percentages or dividends of allocating funds to specific groups or specific utilities. The no budget budget is operationalized through simply monitoring your account balance, and the goal is simply to not allow your account to drop to zero or be overdrawn. Outside of making sure that your account is not overdrawn, where funds go and how in which they are allocated is up to the discernment of each individual. There is no 30% to bills, 10% towards savings. It's simply what you need at the moment as needed, um, decided by the person. This type of budgeting is very fluid, it's very malleable, but it may not be for everyone. So let's talk about who this budget would be best for. The groups of people that this approach to budgeting would benefit most are on the two polar opposites of the spectrum. On one end, this budget could work for somebody who's being introduced to financial literacy, who needs a lot of wiggle room to grow and to develop and get their grounding as far as money management. These people would be those who are living at home, who have little to no financial risk or financial responsibility, who have not yet accrued debt, whether that's good debt or bad debt, and those who are just really trying to get their footing and get grounded in the idea of money management. On the other side of the spectrum, this type of budgeting can be useful for those who have a lot of wiggle room, who may have some responsibilities, but their income far exceeds or they're living well below their means. And so there's not a requirement or a heavy dependency on managing funds down to the dollar. The biggest pro of this approach would be its low maintenance. The no budget budget doesn't require a very direct or deliberate, um, full laid out strategic plan or approach towards finances. And so a lot of people might gravitate to this because of how lax the boundaries of this budget are. The cons of this approach include its lack of preparation. There is no real safety with this type of budgeting, which is why, for on one end of the spectrum, this budget is good for people who are living well under their means, because in the event of an emergency, they will have the wiggle room and the abundant finances to address emergencies. For those who are on the opposite side of the spectrum, who have a lower financial responsibility but also may have lower amount of finances to work with, this approach is very risky. And it's risky because it does not account for and is not proactively working towards creating a financial safety net, which leaves you vulnerable and open to financial emergencies. So, when it comes to finding the best financial approach to you, and specifically considering the no budget budget, it's important to consider both yourself individually as a person and how your finances are set up to support you and your lifestyle as a whole. When considering what approach is important for you, it's also important to consider your goals, what it is you're trying to build, you're trying to create, and where you are in your life right now. That involves taking a sober inventory of who you are as a person and what kind of structure you need as an individual. Over the course of this presentation, we have covered a number of budgeting systems that include the 50-30-20 budget, the values-based budget, the envelope system, and the no budget budget. Each one of these has its own pros and cons to consider, and all of them have varying requirements as far as discipline and commitment. To make the right selection about which one would best fit you, it's encouraged to try them all, but to also really think about who you are when it comes to finances. Again, where you're trying to be, where you're at now, what are your goals, and then aligning with whatever budget system will help you to achieve those goals. We hope you've enjoyed our presentation and there is something that you have found that could be useful to you, something that you could try out, and something that'll support you in pursuing your new financial endeavors. Thanks for watching.